did the song go? Anyways, enjoy the content.
Wow. I'm sorry. I had to get that out of my system. Otherwise, that would have been the entire review. I would have brought up something about the movie I really liked and then stopped in the middle of my sentence and just went, uh, wow. Because that's what this movie is. It's just a whole bunch of just wow. Hello, everybody. It's your boy, the Punk Otaku Scribe. Welcome to my show, Punk Reviews, where I look at anime, movies, and TV shows, both current and classic. And in this edition of Punk Reviews, we're looking at Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, the sequel to 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Before I really get into it, I do want to say what my feelings are on Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man in general, just to give some context on where I'm coming from when it comes to this new movie. Into the Spider-Verse has reigned supreme as my favorite Spider-Man movie, and one of my favorite animated films of all time since it came out. Even No Way Home, as much as I love No Way Home, couldn't even top it. What makes it so special to me is its themes of anybody can be Spider-Man. It's the first Spider-Man movie, I think, that really understands what it means to be Spider-Man. You know, in the Sam Raimi movies and in the Andrew Garfield movies, Spider-Man was this super cool, superhero that was swinging around, saving people, and you looked up to Spider-Man. But Into the Spider-Verse was really one of the first movies, or the first Spider-Man movie, to take Spider-Man and say, this isn't just the cool superhero you're looking at. You're looking at you. You can be Spider-Man.
I could be in the scuba squad.
You can be just like Miles. You can wear the mask and be Spider-Man. You can help people just like Spider-Man does. That, among many other reasons, is why I love Into the Spider-Verse with all of my heart. I really do. And so, coming out of it, like I mentioned before, there was nothing that could top it for me. So, when Across the Spider-Verse was announced, I was excited. I was happy about it. But my expectations for it were it's either going to be as good or just be just a little less. Just a little bit less in quality. Not bad by any means, just, not quite as good. But regardless, I was excited. And then I went and saw it, and I could not have been more wrong. At nearly 2.5 hours long, I never wanted it to end. It's just 10 minutes shy or something like that of being at the 2.5 hour mark. And despite the length, I, one, did not feel the length at all, but I never wanted it to end. I could watch this movie for forever. And when it did end, I was kind of sad about it. It felt like, oh man, the good times are over. What do I do now? Key thing that pulled me in first was the animation. The animation goes insano mode in this movie, just like it did in Into the Spider-Verse, but they really notched it up to an 11 for this. And how they did that was not only are they playing around with different animation and art styles like Into the Spider-Verse did, they're using different animation methods. Not just a different style of animation, but a different way of animating within frames of this movie. It's crazy, okay? For instance, Gwen Stacy's world is watermark painted. It's a watermark painting world. And the water paint colors and gradients change with every mood of the scene. And the colors match the mood of the scene, of course. But that's not it. That's not all they do here. It's kind of crazy. Yes, the mood will change in the color depending on the scene, but they don't just keep one color palette. The colors and gradients change from frame to frame. Let me give an example of what you mean. Of what I mean. So Gwen Stacy will be talking to her dad. And when the mood is darker or sadder, the colors are darker and sadder. And you'll be looking at Gwen Stacy talking, and the colors behind her will be like a somber purple that fades into like a dark red, with a white line to separate the two as they fade into each other. But then it'll switch to Gwen Stacy's dad's face as he's talking, and between the frames of switching from Gwen to her dad talking, the colors of course still match what they're saying in terms of mood, but they've also changed entirely. It's not just one color palette. The gradients, the fading, the strokes are completely different from frame to frame, not just from scene to scene. From switching from Gwen to her dad, the colors changed. It would have been so easy for them to just choose a color palette to fit the mood of the scene and then just keep that the entire scene. But no, they said, you know what? We're going to show them what we got. And they did. Every frame in Gwen Stacy's world for those scenes is a different color every time it switches from one character to the other. The dedication is amazing in this, and I respect this movie so much for giving us that. And that's not all. That's just a different animation style. I mentioned different animation methods. There are characters in this movie that are literal paper in terms of animation style, okay? An animation method, I'd say. All right, for instance, near the beginning of the film, there's Vulture. You may have seen that in the trailer, and he looks kind of like brownish. Well, he's from the Da Vinci dimension, so he looks like a Leonardo da Vinci painting. And despite being flat and colored like that, he moves in tandem within the scene and with the other spider people that he's fighting against in the scene. It's incredible. Then there's Spider-Punk, who kind of has the same thing going on, but he's not colored like Vulture. His whole thing is chaos and anarchy. He's a punk rocker, right? So his style is he changes within the frame, within every second, because he embodies the very idea of chaos. So his color, his shapes, everything changes as he's moving, as he's talking. That must have been so painstaking to do, but it looks super cool. It looks incredible. Just with all the different animation styles and methods they mix together, this thing is a masterclass in animation. And I will be shocked, angered, and so disappointed if this does not get recognized for any kind of art direction or animation award. Because if any movie this year deserves any kind of recognition for that, it's Across the Spiderverse. I really love this movie, can you tell? We get a much more mature story this time around, filled with immersive, grounded character work. Grounded character work that is some of the best moments in this movie. We get to know Gwen Stacy a lot more. We see her world. We see her family life. We see her past that led up to the events of Into the Spider-Verse. And it's really compelling stuff. We get to know Miles' parents a lot more. They're a lot more fleshed out here. Miles' mom herself is his rock in this movie. She gives him sage advice and encourages him to continue to be the man and superhero that he's becoming. And surprisingly, despite it being as grounded as it is, does not get lost in the superhero action at all. In fact, the action serves these character moments in a way that an animated superhero movie like this in the past just could not. You would have your character moments, then you'd have action moments that were there just to nab your attention, then we would go back to the character moments. It's not like that at all. This movie is an entire perfect package. Everyone is casted perfectly as well. Oscar Isaac is Spider-Man 2099 in this, Miguel O'Hara. And Oscar Isaac is someone that when I see him in something, I say to myself, that's going to be good. Because he's always good in whatever he's in. I'm not a big fan of the Disney Plus Moon Knight series, but I loved him in it. And he brings just a cold menace to Miguel O'Hara that I really can't picture anyone else bringing to him. Miguel O'Hara in this is intimidating and imposing. And while I was hearing Oscar Isaac in this role, I was thinking to myself, I don't know anyone else that could have done it. And all the performances in this movie are like that. They're so pitch perfect, and not a single character minute is wasted. As many characters there are in this movie, everyone gets something to do. Even the hundreds of spider people that you see in the trailer get something to do. And, their purpose is to chase Miles, like you've seen in the trailer. Not a single character is wasted, and it's so impressive how this story has taken these characters and their lives and their motives and put it into a story this big, and it doesn't lose focus in any of it. I want to keep this review as concise as possible because I can't get into it too much without spoiling too much. And there will be a spoilers video. So whatever I didn't say here, I'll say there and in much more detail. But I do want to leave this review by saying that ultimately this wound up being my new favorite Spider-Man movie. And it's so impressive that it did that because, as I mentioned, Into the Spider-Verse was absolute perfection to me. But this movie took what made Into the Spider-Verse great and improved upon it. And this movie is its own level of perfection. I'm not even exaggerating. In addition to being my new favorite Spider-Man movie, it's also my favorite movie of the year thus far. Yes, it even trumps Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for me, which if you saw my review of that, you'll know that I loved that movie. But this was just so much better of a movie. And that's incredible that to me that I'm even saying that because Guardians 3 was an incredible movie. Yeah, this was something special. And I don't know how they're going to top it in the next one, which, there's obviously going to be a next one. But I said that about Into the Spider-Verse, so I'm willing to bet that I'm going to be wrong. And that's my review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. If you saw it already this weekend, let me know what you thought of it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow all my socials down in the description. I've been the Punk Otaku Scribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Interesting review, Otaku. Very interesting. But I'm sure you'll agree, sir, that there's far more to discuss.